Okay, everyone, so welcome to the bloody bonus segment. And first off, just like last time, I actually don't know if we said thank you enough, but if you are watching this, it means that you're helping to support us and support this show.
Yes.
And hopefully, like we said at the beginning of this show, obviously we'd love to do the TV show like we'd like to do the TV show, but we still want to keep doing this, even if that happens, because this is fun. We get to sit around and hang out. We don't have
Basically, yeah.
executives telling us what to do.
And
we
that we're
can
going on too
talk
long.
talk about the stupid stuff that we talk about. So yes, everyone who's watching, it's because of you that we're even able to do this. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys very much for helping us keep doing what we're doing and hopefully entertaining you guys.
You guys
So-
rock. I love you. Barry
So
loves you.
this
Jose loves you.
episode we did serial killers,
Mm-hmm.
but let's talk about something different. Jose, I
Well,
know there's something
yes.
burning
Yeah,
in your brain that just has you so angry.
Well, since episode 2 was serial killers, I was thinking about how Hollywood has decided that the best way to reboot a series, a franchise series, Michael Myers and Leatherface and possibly Jason, is to take them back to when they were kids, because for some reason that is a good idea to them. I just found out there's a movie coming out, I believe at the end of 2017, I think in October, called Leatherface.
Yeah, I think I read the other day that now this kind of surprised me. I mean, the franchise is obviously huge,
Right.
and even though I really didn't like the 3D one,
Oh,
except for Alexandra Daddario, who is like
Mhm.
one of the most beautiful women on the face of the planet.
Right.
I didn't really like the movie, but I thought it did okay financially. But I read the other day that this Leatherface is basically getting like, one of those Fathom events. Like it's just like a 1 day
Oh, is it really?
release.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
that's what I read.
That's how bad it is.
It's
then.
not getting a wide.
So what they're doing is they're taking Leatherface back to when he was like a little kid, like an 8-year-old kid, and then I think it goes until he's a teenager. So, a show of hands, who wants to see that movie? Nobody does. That's a horrible idea. It's a stupid
I feel
idea.
like
Who
Barry
cares?
might be raising his hand. I just love Leatherface, so anything with Leatherface, I agree that it's what is it, like Saved by the Bell meets Leatherface or something. I don't know. Like, what could he talk back then? Did he have a crush on somebody? How did this go?
Yeah. Now to Jose's point,
It's like John Hughes.
I don't want
It's a John Hughes.
I don't want to see that movie, but will I see it? Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. That's why they make these things. I will not be in attendance in that movie. And I had the same problem with Rob Zombie's Halloween. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's scary that he's just a kid who snapped. He lives in the suburbs, nice clean cut kid, snaps, he starts killing people, and then he becomes this avatar for everything, for our nightmares. He is the boogeyman. We don't know anything about him. He could be in every shadow. But Rob Zombie decided, well, let's make him a long haired like punk rocker kid. And let he
Kiss fan.
He's a Kiss fan, and he
Well, that's obviously what happens when you like Kiss.
and he's got like white trash parents, and his mom is a stripper, and that's gonna make Michael Myers better. That was useless. Okay. Then when it gets to the actual remake of Halloween, it's just the same movie. There's nothing like, oh, I feel bad for Michael Myers because his mom was a stripper. No, who gives two shits?
Well,
He's the boogeyman. You don't give the boogeyman a backstory.
okay, so I totally agree with you.
Okay.
But I had the same reaction a bunch of years ago when I was living in New Mexico, about 7 years ago. And I've been a huge Halloween fan for a long time.
Okay.
Particularly one, obviously. And I was like, no, he's just the boogeyman. He's pure evil. I watched that boy stare off for 15 years. Didn't say a word. He's called The Shape, right?
Yes,
Not The Shadow.
Not the shadow.
Not The Shadow. We screwed up a little.
I had to do a correction last episode.
Yeah.
In that.
But, along comes Rob Zombie. I'm actually a huge fan of Rob Zombie. I love his music, actually. I remember when Hellbilly Deluxe came out in 99.
I love his music better than his movies.
Yeah, but I actually, once I let go of all my prejudices and was like, okay, a friend of mine who's another horror geek, horror nerd, hasn't been on the show. He's like, okay, I'm going to sit you down. He begged me, and it finally broke down. I was like, okay, Let's watch it. I actually really got into it, and I thought that they did a good job of showing his development. He's been beaten by his father. There's usually like the humiliation aspect in there.
Not my father. He's not my father. My
Yeah.
daddy's in heaven.
Right.
So it's actually his mother's boyfriend,
Mother's
Ronnie,
boyfriend. That's right. Well, parental figure.
played by
Father
William
figure.
Forsythe, who is a great character actor.
He's awesome. And then he graduates to killing. Was it a squirrel or something? What was it in the woods?
Cat.
Oh man, now I don't like the movie anymore. Forgot it was a cat. I love cats. This movie sucks. But I felt that it showed kind of more of like getting into the mind of a killer and seeing the escalation and the slow build up to the point where he is who he is. And I thought it was actually pretty well done. The second one I wasn't a fan of at all.
But why does okay? So we know him without the mask. We see him as a human person with a face, and we acknowledge that he has a human presence. Why does he then continue to have the mask throughout the movie? I feel like that disconnects us from him. You know what I mean? If it was a movie that just started out, this is a crazy kid killing, for example, let's take a Giallo movie, for example. Like, we only see the hands, but the killers don't usually wear masks. If we know who the killer is, why is the killer wearing a mask? You know what I mean?
Well,
The
'cause
problem with
he-
the thing is Michael Myers was the boogeyman, and he wore that mask because he could be anything. He could be anyone.
I think you just need to. I'll give my own take, but I'm not saying within the parameters of what you're arguing. I can't say you're wrong. I think you're right.
Done. Okay, moving on. I'm right.
hang on. I gotta say this. What you have to do is let go of the idea that Michael Myers is the boogeyman, and then that might be mutually exclusive to how you form your opinion, but I feel like people who hate Rob Zombie's version that's the thing that they hold on to is like Michael Myers is just this thing. He's just the boogeyman. Well, not in this version.
Right.
And-
And if you're gonna reboot something, you're gonna do it again, you gotta have a new angle, otherwise you can love it or hate it, but you gotta have a new angle, And there's so many times where I'm like, you can't remake Halloween, you can't remake Texas Chainsaw, and
Well,
to be fair, some of them have been better than others, and some of them actually been pretty good.
I argue that you can remake a movie and have it be the exact same movie and just approach it a different way. For example, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh,
The 1950s movie, it's basically the same movie, they just couldn't afford all the crazy effects. John Carpenter went in and said, okay, we'll do that movie, but we're going to really go crazy with the effects and make something completely memorable. So I feel that's a remake that makes sense.
and actually, the original source material on that is the Bill Campbell, I think his name is?
Yeah,
Who Goes There, which is great, and it's actually
Mhm.
like 30-some dudes, and they boil it down to, I think, 13, but
Yeah.
for the sake of a movie. But yeah, they actually was more a better replication of the original source material than the other one. But I hear you. I always forget that's a remake.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
It's amazing.
But
Yeah.
that, again, I can't say you're wrong, but to me, that's a different set of variables, is different parameters.
that's
you're taking
taking it
something from the
differently, yeah.
50s and then jumping to like the 80s when they had the technology to do
The
those
shape-shifting and everything.
like effects, but we're looking at like things that we grew up with, like movies
Mhm.
originally from like the late 70s or 80s,
Right.
and then looking at like the 2000s
Okay.
when they're trying to redo things.
Right.
And so, by definition, look, I don't like a lot of the remakes. I am one of the few hardcore horror fans that likes Halloween. I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan. I like the way the film is like shot and cut and edited, and
That's a
I
different
enjoy it.
Take on it.
But
But
yeah,
he totally shit the bed in the second one. You can't tell me you like the second
Yeah, I
one.
didn't like the second one.
I don't like the second one. I still like the way it feels
You didn't have the mask.
aesthetically. Like, I like the kind of 16mm look to it.
Mhm.
I don't really enjoy the story. No.
No.
I mean, look, I'm wearing a Ghostbusters shirt, but if you look closely, and we've penned it in, but this is referring to the second.
Why do you embarrass yourself by showing them the?
Well, I wanted to show them that I penned out.
Okay, so Barry, you've made it very clear that that you like Rob Zombie's Halloween. So
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a what if. What if? And they're thinking of doing this. They do a Jason story, but they take it back to when he was a kid, his first day at camp. But instead of being like a mangled kid, he looked like some preppy kid. Like think of it's Problem Child. He's like a little he's like a little problem child kid, and they hire
with
like
Charles. What's his name? Charles Gruden.
Charles Grodin.
Grodin.
Yeah.
Charles Grodin.
Well, if he comes out of retirement. But he's like a problem child type kid, and he says like, "I'm a little stinker," you know, when he does stupid shit. And when he's drowning in the lake, it's because they're like, fuck that kid, because he's an asshole and no one cares about him. But it's not because they were messing around. It's because he's just a pain in the ass kid. Now, would you think that's now again? I feel Jason's sort of in the same boat. We have a backstory for him. We sort of have this tragic story for him. But if it's sort of reworked into this weird, like, well, why did they need to go in that direction?
Yeah.
And why did they need to give us that story? How would you feel about that take on it?
Well, that's an interesting question. I can't, as in a lot of political talk, I don't like to hypothesize because it's not reality. But since you brought it up, and this maybe shows...
And it is fake news, but let's go with
This
it.
maybe shows my poor taste, but at one time I sketched out an outline for Friday the 13th, the
Meets
beginning.
Problem Child.
Meets Problem Child.
That's fine.
And it wasn't like you said, like he wasn't like a dick or a jerk.
Right.
Now that would be something different. I wouldn't be happy with that. But the idea that I sketched out was that Jason was never like a deformed child or anything. He wasn't even like handicapped or anything. He was a normal kid, but he drowned or almost drowned. And then his mom, and then he became handicapped after that. And his mom was ashamed of having a handicapped child, so she pretended that he was dead. And then so that happens. So anyway, that was my kind of Friday the 13th, the beginning. But
That's good.
But Pamela Voorhees was a stripper, yes.
Pamela
Because
Voorhees.
we need that angle.
She was actually a lot lizard.
What is that?
Lot lizard?
I've never heard that.
A
What is
hooker
I don't
that?
know what either.
a hooker that works the trailer, the truck stop parking lots.
Oh.
Well, Barry
to do.
did that for a couple of years before.
Yeah,
To pay for his film
I'm
school.
well versed.
Well, that's
in
why it's
lot
on your
lizard.
resume.
Yeah, I know. I was like, lot lizard?
But that's actually it's a really good question, and it's a really good point. Like if somebody did that, like Friday the 13th to me is like
Sacred.
yes. Now I don't feel the same way about Halloween. It's just
Well, there
it's
you
your
go.
personal thing. Like I don't hold Halloween in as high of regard as a lot of people.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people who hated the remake are people that love the original, and I love it too. I mean, it's not sacred to me like Friday the 13th is. So if they redid that and made Jason a boy, even though I did sketch out a version where he was at one time like a regular kid, like yeah, I'd feel different about it. So I understand why people feel the way they do
Right.
about Halloween. It's just I personally enjoy the movie. Now let me ask you this, both of you. What about Freddy Krueger as a teenager? How in the world could you do that?
How would we kick that one off?
I
I mean, because he was
mean, the
sort
poor
of.
guy already has so many skin problems as is. I mean, you're going to throw acne onto the mix. I mean, the guy's been through hell.
That'd be kind of funny though. He gets acne.
He's like, my
That's what
face.
I'm
And it's like, honey, you're all burned and scarred anyway.
That would be pretty.
What's
funny.
a few pimples? And he's like, well, yeah, but the pimples.
I mean, we do see him young in, was it 6? Freddy's Dead. We sort of see him like when he's like a dad.
Oh, that's the one.
Well, we see him in part 6 when he's a dad, and the little girl he's playing with his
Right.
daughter in the
Mhm.
backyard,
Right.
and Robert Englund plays like him without makeup,
Right.
and his wife comes out of the basement. She's like, I won't tell. I won't tell anyone, because like
Does that mean?
she discovered his secret room like
Right.
with all this stuff. So we've
Yeah.
seen him as an adult or like a father. I don't know, maybe he's late 20s or early 30s, but yeah, I mean Freddy's
Yeah, but
the interesting
I
one
mean-
because like he is a child killer in real life, and then he becomes like the dream demon. But so like, would you do?
I feel like it would be a really uncomfortable movie. You know what I mean? Like he's probably been abused himself,
Yeah.
it would be a very much a Henry type of film. You know,
Yeah.
very kind of disgusting.
Right.
I don't think you can make it a teen thriller if he's being raped in a. It doesn't sound like a fun time with the movies.
Well, one of my, I mean, to totally change the subject a little bit, but ultimately back to the same thing. I don't know if you guys have ever read Grendel, or Grendel.
Yeah, Grendel.
Have you ever read that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, this guy's a reader right here. This guy's a reader. He's read everything I read.
It's
book?
the sequel to Beowulf.
It's a sequel to Beowulf from the angle of the monster.
Yeah.
And it's like, Beowulf, why is Beowulf being such a jerk? Like, and I love POV shift. So what if you go from, obviously Freddy's a douche. He's killing people in their dreams because he's an asshole. To kind of some of the, showing some of the humanity. I don't know if that's something Jose wants to see, but...
I don't want to see his humanity. Would you want to see his humanity? Like,
or see his humanity
he
stripped
helped
away.
old ladies cross the street.
So, I mean, I think these films serve as, like, you see these monsters. There are some monsters in real life. We're talking about real-life killers. What is the evolution of a killer? And I think that's what Rob Zombie's Halloween was trying to do a little bit, was to show you, obviously you have daddy issues, mommy issues, your mom's boyfriend beats you up. That's going to probably cause some psychological problems. How do we deal with these situations? How do we stop them? How do we nip them in the bud?
Now here's an interesting
question.
question.
1,000 has-been B-movie actors to cameo.
Now here's an interesting question. What does it say about where our society has gone? Whereas like our original monsters, like I often make this point that there's the 30s boogeyman generation and then there's like the 80s boogeyman generation. So in that 30s generation with like werewolf, Frankenstein, Dracula, we do like them because like we see their softer side, like we see their humanity. But like in our 80s boogeyman, it's like Freddy Krueger, who's a child killer.
Yeah.
Jason, who was like this thing. Michael Myers, who's like literally the boogeyman or like part of our subconscious.
Yeah.
Like, what does that say about where we've gone? Where it's like we progress to the point where we don't want to see the human side.
Well, now we apparently progressed to where we want to deconstruct these people and
true.
Understand them psychologically. I feel
have
like
you guys
that's
seen
doesn't
Downfall
work.
about Hitler? Hitler's Last Days. Have you guys seen that film?
Yes, a long time ago.
The Untergang.
That's one they always get the clip from.
Yeah, they always get the clip of, like, it's like talking about the Lakers or whatever. Like, they redub the Hitler and be like, I can't believe the Lakers are,
right.
unstoppable. Like, we gotta stop him. But that movie blew my face off. And it's like Hitler is probably one of the most powerful serial killers in the world. He didn't like physically use a knife and kill every Jew that was killed, but I mean, he's motivated a population to go that way.
Right.
And I just thought it was a brilliant look into this person that you can easily just be like, oh, he's Hitler, he's this evil thing.
Right.
But then, seeing that he is indeed a person, obviously a weird, got a little lost person.
He's an artist too.
Yeah, and he was able to command the people, and the people that were followed him, and he was able to this was only 70 years ago. So,
right.
I think that this actually happened. Obviously now it's kind of like a linchpin thing that we're like, we can never let this happen again. We got to remember. But there's something about these characters, and I think there is this kind of creepiness to see the humanity behind them, and I'm a fan of it. And at first I fought it tooth and nail with Michael Myers, because Michael Myers to me was a boogeyman. And they've gone a little haywire with the remakes. Some of them are better than others, but I think there's something cool to kind of see the kind of A to Z. How did this person become this person? So I'm a fan of that.
So would you like to see the Meatballs take on Jason?
Jason Meatballs.
Problem Child meets Jason. That's how it happened. It's canon, guys. Sorry, his favorite catchphrase is "I'm a little stinker."
Well, the thing about Jason was he was a kid that drowned, and it was the negligence of the adolescence.
But the story you haven't told is that he was having a wacky summer camp time.
So here's the setting. Jason is like, he can't swim. But he's in the water and he's kind of like holding on to the dock. And there's like the camp counselor in her bikini,
right?
And it plays like some banjo music, like bang, bang, ding, 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 like kind of that Meatballs 80s corny thing.
Yeah.
And the male camp counselor runs up and like pulls her bikini off.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, and runs and chases him off, and then Jason like goes to pick his nose or something, and he lets go of the dock, and then he like.
Yeah, or he drops something. It's like, oh, I'm gonna set up this big prop at the school dance or at the camp dance. It's gonna be great. And he has like maybe he has glasses on and his glasses fall in the lake. He goes, jeepers, my glasses! He has to go, but he forgot he can't swim. Or I mean, there's just so many ways to really tell the story the right way, so the fans can see how it happened.
I feel like Jason
But
is
he
really
was a
good at
dorky
killing.
idiot.
I feel like he's really good at killing for like a nearsighted guy. Who
Yeah.
can't find his glass.
Well, he was alive until really part 3. So
Yeah. Actually, part 5, right? No, you're
well,
right.
he got killed to shit.
Well,
Officially
he
in the
got
4th one,
killed
right?
in 4.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been dead like 40 times over, but finally
We're
killed
starting to run out.
No!
We're starting to run out of time.
If you guys want to see a Problem Child Meets Freddy movie, Friday the 13th movie,
Meets
please send us
Meatballs.
money. We'll make it.
Now, but while we're talking about Friday the 13th and we're talking about this humanizing thing, like, I don't know, the remake of Friday the 13th to me is kind of interesting. And because, like, it's my favorite franchise, I actually enjoy the remake quite a bit. Like, there's my timer. Let's keep...
Let's do one little wrap up.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like it's got that really cold. I always forget one way or another. Is it cold or warm open? Where it's like 20 minutes, and then it like comes up.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah.
Oh,
Friday the 13th.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean that whole opening sequence I love. Like I think it's really
Yeah.
well done. I think it's scary. I think it's creepy. And then when we go into the movie, it becomes a little bit more of your typical like kids partying. Jason's there.
Right.
But for me, that aspect, like, it is interesting seeing him, like, as a human, and he's built all those tunnels, and he's devised that system. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
To see that as a kid or just in general as a character?
No, just to see him thinking about him as, like, being by himself, like, in the woods, and, Camp Crystal Lake is my home, and I'm
Right.
gonna stay here, and he, like, thinking about him, like, literally spending years, like, carving out those caverns.
Yeah. Like he's stuck down there.
Yeah, but so it's just gonna him digging. That's like it's like the prequel to Indiana Jones is him reading books in a library.
All right, everybody. As
But
much
it's
as I
super fast motion digging, so it's cool.
Yeah.
as much as I'd love to keep talking about this forever and forever and forever,
Well, we will.
there's got to be a stopping point, and I have to take my beautiful, lovely girlfriend to the acupuncture. To the
Thanks for showing me
acupuncture
out, Barry.
person. So Andy, honey, I will see you outside. Oh yeah, actually, this is for Truesies. We still have one more scene to film for this episode,
Oh, yeah,
so
right.
we got to pop outside. We got to do that. Jose, thank you, sir,
Thank
so
you guys.
Always a pleasure.
And-
Pleasure
Andy.
as always.
Rocking.
much. Too slow. All right, thanks everyone.
We're
Remember,
done. We're
I'll
done.
give you one.
We're done.
remember to
Yeah,
stay
Jose's there,
geeky.
now.
Remember to stay bloody, and we'll see you on the next one.